Hola a todos. Welcome to our Cafecito for our Más Isla campaign. My name is Janice Ramirez, and I'm the Executive Director of Isla. And for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, Isla is a nonprofit organization that focuses on building community and leadership through educational Spanish language and cultural immersion programs. Our vision is that we envision an equitable society strengthened by the power, knowledge, and values of Latin American languages and cultures. And today, we will be talking about our Más Isla campaign. Our goal is to raise $75,000 through our Más Isla Sustainer program, where you can give at any level monthly. And you could find this link in the comments. You'll be able to make that donation or a one-time donation at any level, or also your participation in many of our events that we'll be hosting throughout the year. This year, our campaign will focus on 3 priorities. The first one is our anti-racist and anti-discriminatory education. 2, investing in our teachers. And 3, closing the opportunity gap for our students and families. And so today, we will actually be hearing from our leadership team, our wonderful team that makes the things happen throughout the school year, as well as the different programs in the different areas. And we'll be hearing their story and why Isla is important to them, and get to know a little bit why this work is so important, and particularly on closing the opportunity gaps within our Latino families in North Carolina. So now I have the pleasure to introduce each one of them. I'll let them tell you their position. So first, Josué, if you could just tell us your name and what position you have at Isla.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janice, and welcome to all of you that are watching live. I'm Josué Córdova, and I am the Executive Assistant here at Isla. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
And now, Natalia. You're on mute, Natalia.
If that's not this year's quote, last year's too. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalia Rivadeneira. I'm the Policy Research and Advocacy Manager. I'm super happy to be here.
Lady.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lady Flores, and I am the Finance Manager and HR Manager in Isla.
Amazing. And I just want to tell everybody that you can put any questions that you may have for any of our wonderful team members in the comments. We will be following those, and we'll be able to answer those questions. So, primero, first, we're going to start with Josué. Josué, tell us about yourself, and as a generation 1.5, and if you could please explain what that is, why are you working at Isla?
Thank you, Janice. Thank you for that question. And hello again to everyone that is watching right now. Generation 1.5 is pretty much those like myself that migrated to the US being adolescents, more likely between the ages of 8 to 16 years old. And the reason for me to be here today is to talk a little bit about my own story and my own barriers while navigating the educational system in the U.S. as an adolescent migrant. And for me, it's very important. This relates a lot with the work that we do at Isla. And the reason for that is because as Isla, it's a community-based educational space, which highlights the importance of building community, leadership, and cultural wealth through language. And that resonates a lot with me in the work that we do here. The reason for this, for all of you, is that my parents and I we did not have enough resources when we arrived into the U.S. I did not have the resources to navigate the school system. As an English language learner, I isolated myself through my school years, and I did not engage. As an adolescent, you're still learning your own language skills, the Spanish language skills. You haven't developed fully your skills. So imagine combining that with Spanish and English at the same time and lacking the resources, not having teachers to talk to, not having your parents explain what was going on, nor your parents having the resources. Here at Isla, we try to combat that. How do we do that? Well, by the Spanish immersion language program that we do at Isla Los Sábados, through the engagement in the community that we do, that work with padres at Isla. And this makes me so happy and so emotional when I talk about this, because I wish that I could have the resources my parents could have the resources that I never had when I was navigating the school system. That's why my work at Isla speaks to me a lot at a very deep level, at a very emotional level. And I just want to share with you my story. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Josué, because I think you highlighted, I think, something that when I think about closing the opportunity gap, I think about that very thing. Like, as we navigated as youth, the system, being from parents from Spanish-speaking countries or Latin American countries that were raised there, coming here and trying to assimilate, but at the same time, for me particularly, it was, I knew that my life at home was one way and my life outside with my friends was different. And so how I navigated that, and then how did I make sure that I was getting those same opportunities as my friends, even though I didn't even know how to tell my parents that those opportunities existed, right? And I think that that's that piece when we talk about the work that's being done at Isla and closing the opportunity gap. Sometimes I want to say, oh, we only do this, but there's so many things that we have to do in order to be able to truly close opportunity gap. And those opportunities change, those access to information changes. And so I appreciate you so much, one, sharing what Generation 1.5 is, because I think that's something that a lot of us don't know about. And then secondly, sharing your story and how important it is, the work that we're doing at Isla. Ahora, now I'm going to hand the virtual microphone, over to Natalia. Natalia, you have a very different experience coming into Isla and coming into the United States, and you are a lawyer. And as a lawyer, what is your role at working at Isla, but also what does closing the opportunity gap mean to you and your story and the connection to your story?
Yeah. Well, I went to law school back in my home country. You very quickly learn in law school and when practicing law that you have, people that know how to navigate the legal system have an upper hand. If you can afford a lawyer, or if you know how to navigate the legal system, period, you have the upper hand, right? So I understood, it wasn't that quickly, but I got there to understand that I could help people that way, that I had the tools to stand up for those that couldn't do it by themselves. When I moved to the US, I understood two things. First, that the Latinx community had an incredible disadvantage in North Carolina, and I'm sure that everywhere else in the United States. Then I also understood that the Latinx community was my home away from home. I came here when I was 26 years old, and so all I knew was Peru, my home country. And so my community, my culture, my language, everything I knew is Peru, is Peruvian. I had never lived anywhere else. And so coming here and being here for me was such a cultural shock. And I'm sure it's that way for all those who, migrate as grown-ups. It took a while for me to adapt. And yeah, the Latinx community became my home away from home. So with that being said, my work at Isla is to serve my community. Because I have these tools, because I have this advantage of speaking the language, of knowing the US legal system, I can help people. And what we're doing at Isla, and this is what I feel incredibly passionate about, is to support people and empower them, empower parents, and therefore empower children to stand up for their rights, to protect their rights, to feel proud about being Latinos. And yeah, I think we are giving them those tools and giving them that upper hand that they didn't come with.
I think you raised such an important piece that I think is like directly related to closing the gap, is when you understand the legal system. But it's not just the legal system, right? It's every system. I think one of the things about the US is it is so like very many other countries, very complicated. Every single system has a different process that you have to really learn about, teach yourself in order to navigate it. And so when we're talking about closing this opportunity gap, particularly around education, because our focus is educational programs, right? We really think about this education system and the complexity. So when you come to this country, or even when you're a part of this country and just don't have that connection to education, or maybe didn't have a good experience, or came to this country and thought that things were going to be a certain way and they turned to be something else, how do you navigate that and access those opportunities that exist, or make sure that you're pushing so that those opportunities are available to us? And that is something that Isla does with all of these wonderful people that are on this call, is being able to show and push for the opportunities that every single one of us deserve in this country, because it is our right to receive that, right? And so I really appreciate you uplifting that, and obviously being part of this amazing team of folks. Ahora, I'm going to go over to Lady. Lady, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your story. And as a first-generation student in college, why do you work at Isla?
Hi, everyone. So like Jenny said, my name is Lady. So a little bit about my story. I've been in Isla since 2015. Working in Isla since 2015, but I was actually a student in Isla, and then became a volunteer in Isla. So the reason why I love working in Isla is because growing up, I grew up here in Chapel Hill. Growing up in Chapel Hill, I was very embarrassed of being Latino. I'm about to start crying like always. I didn't have a lot of Latinos in my school. I was the only one in my classroom. So I was very embarrassed of it. And I would tell my mom, like, I hate speaking Spanish. I don't want you to come to my school because you look different than all the other moms. So I didn't have a Latino community. The only time I had is when my mom would send me to Mexico or Colombia. And when Isla came to my family, I finally was able to see other kids that were like me, that were able to, I knew that there were other kids that felt the same way as me. And that, you know, when you would go to school, sometimes you couldn't say a word in English, but you knew it in Spanish and no one else in your classroom understood. So I just have a really like close connection with Isla in that I understand every single student growing up here and how hard it is to fit in into your Latino community, but also fit in with the other friends at school. And so that's why I also work in Isla, because it really showed me how proud I should be of being Latina, and how great it is of speaking two languages and the opportunities that it brings speaking two languages. And Isla has opened a lot of opportunities for me too, where I haven't been able to grow in Isla a lot. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Lady, for sharing that, and also being very vulnerable to the fact that, like, you know, this is your story. And I think that's one of the most important things about where we're at in our society and as an organization. We want to make sure that every single person that comes through these doors, whether you come as a volunteer, a teacher, a parent, a student, a participant in one of our programs and one of our projects, that you feel like you're able to raise your voice and share your concerns and have an opportunity here. I think one of the things that really is constantly on my mind as an executive director is that we have to listen. And like, it may be that our point of view may be a little bit different, or something someone says at first, we're like, like, wait, hold up. What does that mean? But we listen to that and say, wait a second, it's okay to transform with the community. It's okay to learn something new. It's okay for me to realize that this is how things were, but I could change that. I have a way to close this opportunity gap that exists for our communities. I have the voice to say, this isn't working for me. I have the voice to say, I want this job. I have the voice to say, I want to go in this particular field, or I want to go to school, or I want to go to this school. And I think for our organization, and hearing every single one of you talk about your experiences, it shows the importance of what it is that we do. And today we're focusing specifically on closing the opportunity gap. And you guys are all examples of that. You guys are all three of you are leaders in the community that are making a real change and a real impact on our community here in North Carolina. And I hope that those of you that are watching us see the value of listening to our stories, the value of closing these opportunity gaps within the education system and really in every single system, and seeing the value of ISLA and how important it is to the community here in North Carolina and hopefully one day across the country and all over the world. You can learn more about us through our website. It's www.laislaschool.org or org. And at the bottom of the screen, you see that it says become a monthly sustainer or donate at laislaschool.org/donate/. And there you can choose your giving level. And please consider being a part of this. One of the things too that we love to share with our community is that you're more than welcome to come visit us. So please shoot us also an email to see ISLA Los Sábados in action or join one of our programs that we host throughout the week for our parents on advocating and helping close this opportunity gap for our community. So thank you so much for being with us today. Do you guys have any questions or final comments that you'd like to share?
Yes. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching. Just keep in mind something. ISLA, it's a very important, safe educational space in North Carolina, in Durham, and the counties around it. Please donate. Make sure that you will be certain that that dollar, that donation, will go a long way, and you're helping us to close the gap in the education of our children.
Sí, gracias, Josué. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day and join us for our other cafecitos. We will be having more cafecitos where we share something about one of these 3 focus areas this year in our Más Isla campaign. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and find out what we're doing and get involved. Thank you so much and have a wonderful Friday.